Welcome back to the online sessions on MCC. In the last class, we have ended our session with the types of the small scale feeding. Now, what are the basic reasons of fading? So, basically, fading is going to come under the path loss component in the wireless mobile communications. So, what are the various reasons of getting fading? What are the various reasons of signal getting faded? There are going to be three reasons. They are going to be called as reflection, diffraction, and scattering. Now, here all these reflected, diffracted, and scattered signals are going to get received by the receiver. So, therefore, the receiver is going to get multiple copies where sometimes what happens is they add up constructively at the receiver, or sometimes they are normally going to add up destructively at the receiver, causing a variation in the received signals power level. So these two we have to compulsorily figure out. Now based on the value of threshold of the correct signal, we have to really process that signal at the receiver. So a received single envelope of a fast fading signal is said to follow a Rayleigh distribution. Now, in order to consider a valid signal, we normally going to encode the channel with a Rayleigh distribution at the transmitter side. So once we encode with a Rayleigh distribution, then we are normally going to take up the signals only with a Rayleigh distributed signals. Whatever may be the scattering that it is normally going to involve, whichever signal is going to really uh, more close to the Rayleigh distributed signal, only that signal is simply considered as the actual part of the signal, so that the receiver can further process that particular received signal. All rest of the other signals which are non Rayleigh distributed will be simply rejected or simply not processed by the receiver circuitry, right? So pictorially how this particular scatterings are going to get really represented, and how the Durkin's model is simply represented pictorially, we normally going to see just now. Now see it here. In the previous session we discussed, or in the previous slide we discussed that the fading is due to basic three reasons. One is going to be reflection, diffraction, and a scattering. Now imagine there is a transmitter, there is a receiver, and there is some obstacle here. See this obstacle, there is an obstacle here, this is an obstacle, this is an obstacle here. So there are obstacles. Receiver is some other far away location, transmitter he is here. Now the distance between these two are going to be large large enough, so that we call it as a radio propagation. Now see how the wave is reflected back. That means, see, this wave is reflected back, means it's normally this wave is, once this wave is propagated, and it cannot be propagated through certain parts of the layer of the atmosphere, and under certain frequencies this wave is simply going to get certain waves are going to get reflected under certain frequencies. So that waves are going to be called as simply reflected waves. Now while the signal is being passed through the sharp edges, see this edge is going to be a sharp edge, then the signal is simply going to get diffracted. Means what? From this particular point, so many signal copies will be simply emerged at different angles, at different phase angles. So this is what called the result of the diffracted signals. The next one is going to be scattering. That means single wave is simply going to get scattered. See, if you see this carefully, this wave is simply scattered wave. So like this diffraction, scattering, and reflection is normally going to be the usual uh, fading uh, fadings which is normally going to happen in the atmosphere. And all such faded signals are simply going to get received by the receiver. Now all these signals, if you see these arrow marks are entering into the receiver. Now all these arrow marks are due to the diffraction, reflection, and the scattering waves. So all these signals are received by the receiver now. So it is the part of the receiver to make a decision of which particular part of the signal is to be taken, or which is going to be the usual correct signal. So whichever signal is going to be satisfy the Rayleigh distribution which is received by the receiver, now that particular signal is taken as the valid signal, because where the signal is normally going to get resided. Now using the Rayleigh distribution at the receiver also, we normally going to get the actual signal which has been transmitted by the transmitter circuit. So now this is what the basic pictorial representation of the various types of the occurrence of the fading. Okay. Now let us move on to the next slide. Now basic problems are going to be what now? Reflection is normally going to happen at certain frequency ranges. Right. As you go on increase the frequency, then the reflections are normally going to be there. So most importantly, you're going to have two kind of things called diffraction and scattering things which are going to happen. And we have one more point in the syllabus that is called practical link budget design. Practical link budget design. So here we have to provide a appropriate link between the transmitter and the receiver. So now what is the probabilistic practical link budget to design a system which is normally going to receive the signal appropriately? So there are two models available, that is called log distance model, log normal shadowing model. Log distance model means what? Logarithmic distance model. And next one is log normal shadowing model. These two are the link budget design techniques. And coming to the outdoor propagation models, we discussed about Durkin's model in the last class. So what is Durkin's model? Durkin's model is normally going to provide us two basic functionalities. One is that which is going to study the topographic nature of the atmosphere, or topographic nature of the conditions between the transmitter and the receiver. So what are all the obstacles which are there between transmitter and receiver? What about the signal strengths which is going to get received at the receiver side? All these things it is normally going to find out. Then next one is going to be that it is going to implement an algorithm at a particular direction of the receiver to receive the signals. So here in this algorithm, we normally keep on changing the location of the receiver in the allotted area which is which need to be covered. So something like a coverage area of the signal. So based on the coverage area of the signal, we normally change the receiver location, and we normally implement this algorithm at the time of testing the system. So this Dunkin's model is normally used at the time of testing the model. After the testing goes well, then what happens? The base station is normally going to implement this Durkin's model to receive the signals more effectively. So this is how we normally going to have this model for a outdoor propagation models called Durkin's model. So Okumura model we don't have in the syllabus. So we have only one model that is called Durkin's model in the syllabus. So we discussed this Durkin's model just now. So let us move on to the next slide. Now pictorially, how this particular diagram looks like now. See, diffraction is normally going to take place at the edge here. See, this edge is now, this is nothing but a irregularity, which is nothing but an obstacle, irregular obstacle, which is going to occur in the path between the transmitter and the receiver signal. Okay. So because of this, what happens is the wave is simply, because of this obstacle, this wave is simply going to get diffracted. That means same signal is going to get propagated in a different directions because of this particular diffraction. So diffraction popular results due to the knife edges in the obstruction. Now see it here, there is a transmitter, there is a receiver here. In between you're going to have a sharp knife edge obstacle. So because of this sharp knife edge obstacle, we normally going to get a diffraction effect. So this region between the obstacle and the receiver is known as a diffraction region. So the region between the transmitter and the obstacle is known as unobstructed wavefront. That means the desired wavefront. It is normally going to be a distracted wavefront or a faded wavefront. Now it's going to be geometric line of sight region. Say for example, if receiver is of this height, then these two are in a line of sight propagation. Okay, so this is going to be line of sight type of the region which is normally going to come across over there for us. Now diffraction, what it does now, allows the radio signal to propagate behind the obstruction. What the diffraction is doing now? It is allowing the signal to get propagated behind the obstruction as well due to the diffraction effect. So diffraction is due to basically sharp irregularities at the obstructed points on the surface of the earth. So which occurs when the radio path between sender and the receiver is obstructed by a surface with sharp irregularities or sharp edges. So here, because of this obstruction, what is obstacle? What is that which is going to happen? The receiver signal strength is going to decrease rapidly as the receiver moves deeper into the shadowed region. So now, as if you see the height of the obstacle with respect to the receiver, the height of the obstacle is more. Means what? The receiver is brought back deeper into the shadowed region. So as it is coming deeper into the shadowed region, the strength of the signal received by the receiver is simply going to decrease obviously. See the wavefront, this is the entire wavefront. So in this entire wavefront, what is the plane wave? This part, this small part is going to be the plane wave where you see this wavefront. So here there is no loss in the signal. So this is called a, plane wave kind of a signal. So, but this receiver is much below than the location of the plane wave. And therefore, the strength of the signal is going to be small in comparison with the strength which we normally find it at the line of sight propagation region where we normally going to get the plane wave. We normally going to get the plane wave. So this is what, due to diffraction, the signal strength normally obviously decreases. All right. So now let us look into some formulas to find out the Fresnel's effect. So Fresnel's diffraction effect, that is called, this nu is nothing but the Fresnel's diffraction parameter. So this parameter tells about how much is the amount of the diffraction. How much is going to be the amount of the diffraction is understood by the this nu value. Okay. Now there will be a change. There will be a delta change of diffraction here because of this kind of obstacle here. Now imagine there is earth surface which is irregular in nature. Earth is not going to be flat always. So earth is normally going to have troughs and troughs. So this troughs and troughs, because of this, definitely the diffraction is going to be there in the propagated signals. Now imagine that there is an obstacle here. There is a transmitter. There is a receiver. Now the transmitter is going to transmit a wavefront like this. It is been transmitted. So due to the diffraction, the waveform, one of the waveform is going to get diffracted and it is going to reach to the receiver. Now this is nothing but simply a line of sight propagation. So in line of sight propagation, we are supposed to get the, imagine that if this obstacle is not there, then this particular propagation is going to be a line of sight propagation. A straight line joining this transmitter T and the receiver R is known as a line of sight propagation. All right. So this distance is nothing but D1, that is between the transmitter and the obstacle. Between obstacle and receiver is going to be called as D2. And the angle between the transmitted signal and the tip of the obstacle is going to be beta. Similarly, angle between the receiver and the tip of the obstacle is going to be gamma with respect to the line of sight propagation. That is called gamma. If these two are gamma and this angle alpha, which is going to be sum of alpha, gamma and beta, so we can call this particular angle as alpha, which is going to be sum of always beta plus gamma. So this angle alpha is known as a small angle approximation for the propagation of the signal. So this alpha is equal to gamma plus beta is nothing but alpha for us, this angle. All right, this angle formula directly we don't have derivation, say we just write the formulas to designate how it is normally going to change. So it's going to be h, which is nothing but height of the obstacle with respect to the line of sight distance, h into d1 plus d2 by d1 d2. So that is the formula to find out this particular thing, to find out the alpha, which is called small approximation, small angle approximation. Then Fresnel's diffraction parameter nu is equal to h into under root of 2 into d1 plus d2 by lambda into d1. This is another formula to find out the Fresnel's equation. So these formulas we have to write in the exam, that is nu and alpha. So try to mug up these equations. The derivative part we don't have. Just you have to write, explain about the diffraction and indicate diffraction by using the Fresnel zone geometry and Neff edge model. So then we just have to represent the diffraction parameter. Okay, so these are the various formulas, and this is the basic model where we normally going to come across with the faded signals due to diffraction. Okay, now this is what the diffraction loss characteristics with respect to the Fresnel's diffraction parameter and knife edge diffraction gain. Now here see this, the diffraction gain, as the diffraction gain increases, what happens is the Fresnel diffraction parameter is normally going to decrease. Okay. So this is what the basic diffraction loss characteristics graph that we will be having. Now with these characteristics, we can say that when the gain is going to be more, then the diffraction parameter is going to be less. That means if the diffraction parameter is less, the gain is going to be more. If the diffraction parameter is going to be more, then the gain is normally going to be less. Which means what? If diffraction parameter is more, the loss is going to be more. So that is what the conclusion we can make from this. And here we can just write down the basic expression for the gain due to this particular diffraction loss is going to be G is equal to 20 log of f of nu. So this is compared with respect to the free space basic equation, where f of nu is nothing but the Fresnel's integral function. Okay. So this is what the basic characteristic graph which you have to draw in the exam, which indicates that the diffraction loss is a function of the knife edge diffraction gain and the Fresnel's diffraction parameter nu. Okay. Now you can just understand more this one more by using some certain simple formula. Well, we don't have actually problems in the syllabus. We got only the theory part of it, but still let us take one small problem to understand more about this particular diffraction, right? So in the previous slide, we have discussed about the formulas. These are the formulas like nu formula and alpha. These two are important for us to get into this, but understand more into the diffraction effect. So let us say there is a following geometry given. Determine the loss due to the knife edge diffraction. So you have to find out the new value. That is the Fresnel's diffraction value you have to find out. Due to the, that means Fresnel's diffraction loss you have to find out. It's called nu you have to find out. And next is height of the obstacle required to induce 6 dB diffraction loss. So I want to, have only 6 dB diffraction loss. For that, what should be the height of the obstacle? So if you see the diffraction loss of 6 dB, see here 6 dB, if you have this 6 dB somewhere, I'll be getting over here, approximately nearing to 1 now. The new value will be approximated to 1 for a 6 dB diffraction loss. So we'll come back to, we'll just use this particular relationship here to solve this particular problem. Okay. So it will be nearer to actually, if it is going to be 6, say in between this 6 somewhere here I'll be having. So approximately 0 if you see carefully, you'll be having a 0. Say for a 6, for a gain 6 value here, you'll be having 0 here. So for a Fresnel's diffraction 0, okay, you'll be having a 6 dB. You'll be having a 6 dB over here. So that is what he's asking about here. So when the height of the obstacle required to induce 6 dB diffraction loss, then we're going to have this, you have to find out the height of the obstacle. So let us look into this figure now. There is a transmitter here T, there is a receiver here. Transmitter is situated at a place of 50 meters. Receiver is at a place of 25 meters. There is an obstacle here of 100 meters. Now there is a distance D1 between the transmitter and obstacle is 10 kilometers. And the distance here between the obstacle and the receiver is going to be 2 kilometers. This is what the basic diagram given, and is asking us to find out the diffraction nu. So here this same figure, now we'll just use the same figure here to draw an equivalent circuit now. See here, this is of 75 meters. So now if you see this, if you cut this value over here, the above portion is going to be 75 meters. 100 minus 25 is going to be 75 for us. So we'll take that as a 75 meters. Okay. And we reduce this height. That means up to here it is negligible now. 25 meters will take. Now in this scenario, well, now in this scenario, we can just redraw this particular figure, whatever given above. The figure is given as 50 meters height for the transmitter. Receiver is 25. Now, if you take this as a reference point for the ground level, now if you draw a line here, what is that you're going to get? This point is above is 25 meters. This should be 0 meters. And above this, you're going to have a 75 meters. Now, this line is going to be of 110 kilometers only. This is going to be of 2 kilometers only. Now, what we do is similarly, I will write as it is. And the angle between the ground plane and the transmitted signal here is beta from the transmitter. Similarly, it is going to be gamma. This is going to be the alpha. So alpha is equal to gamma plus beta. So that's what the equation we can have. Okay. Now here we have to find out the values for beta and gamma to find out the value for alpha. So therefore, what is beta I can write down now here as what is tan beta basically? Opposite by adjacent side is known as tan beta. So therefore, using a trigonometric relationship here, I can have what is the opposite side I have. If you draw a line here, which is going to touch this particular vertical line, you will be having how much here? You will be having here as 75 minus 25. It will be of 50. All right. So now beta is nothing but equal to what now? Tan inverse I can write as tan beta is equal to this distance is how much? 75 minus this one 25 by this is going to be 10 kilometers. 10 into 10 power 3 meters. So therefore beta is nothing but equal tan inverse of that. So tan inverse of this one will be turning out to be 0.286 degrees. Similarly, gamma is equal to how much? It's going to be 75 by this one, 2 kilometers. I'll be having 2.15 degrees. So therefore, total alpha is nothing but equal to what now? Beta plus gamma. I can write this as beta plus gamma is equal to this much. If we convert this into radians, we'll be having this much 0.0424 radians. Then using the equation, above equation, we can just go with the nu is equal to, what is that? We have alpha into 2 into d1 d2 by lambda into d1 plus d2. That is the formula we have under root of this. What is lambda? Lambda is equal to, already f is given. What is the frequency, signal frequency? 900 megahertz. F is given as 900 megahertz. Now what is lambda? Lambda is equal to c by f. What is the formula for lambda basically? C by f. C is nothing but velocity of light 3 into 10 power 8. 3 into 10 power 8 meters per second. So by 900 into 10 power 6. So when you compute this, we'll be getting the value of lambda as 1 by 3. So we'll put here as 1 by 3. So by substituting all these things, we normally going to get 4.24 as the what is this? What is it is asking for now? Is asking for the loss due to the knife edge diffraction. So he's asking about that particular thing. 4.24 is asking. So the diffraction loss is going to be how much now? 4.24. So approximately 4, after 4 some value you're going to have. So this will be around less than 24. So 24.5 dB we'll be having here as the loss of diffraction here from that particular above figure. See this now. So now we have to find out only nu here. Okay, you can just go with the new value here. So you can just find out nearer to 25 some value you're going to get. So therefore, don't put this dB value, just put the V value. So that is what diffraction. Similarly, we have to find out the height so that the 6 dB diffraction loss, it is going to have 6 dB diffraction loss. For 6 dB diffraction loss, we have seen earlier that nu is equal to 0. So nu is equal to 0 for 6 dB diffraction loss. So that means this is 0. If you erect a vertical line here, it will be around 6 dB. So therefore, for 6 dB diffraction loss, we normally going to have nu is equal to 0. So therefore we can have here as something like height h at 2 kilometers. We can just find out, and using that gamma and all, as we know already the value of gamma, so using gamma value you can find out the height h. Okay, so therefore we have to find out this one opposite value. So opposite by adjacent, that means once again tan gamma is going to have, using that formula you can simply find out the height of the antenna. So height of the obstacle area to receive the signal, to have a 6 dB loss. So like that we can just go with this particular height of the antenna. So this is what a scenario where we can just simply receive the diffracted signal. Okay. So next one is going to be the practical link budget design. So practical link budget design means what? How do we figure out about the various performance bottlenecks in terms of the design budget? So design budget means what? The loss, the signal received should be really more than the threshold value. Therefore, the average received power decreases logarithmically with the distance. So to simply find out the, we have to simply find out the path loss along the distance of the coverage. So there is a formula for this path loss along the distance required by path loss with the minimum distance into d by d naught of n, where d is the distance between the obstacle and the receiver, d naught is the reference distance, which is the minimum reference distance where the path loss is going to be more than the threshold value, and n is the path loss exponent. It is based on the environment under consideration. So therefore this path loss exponent indicates, this n indicates the rate at which the path loss increases with the distance and depends on the environment. So n is going to indicate the amount of path loss, how the path loss is simply increasing. If n is increasing means path loss is also increasing. And the reference distance is going to be, now d naught is the reference distance. So always for a larger systems we will take d naught value as 1 kilometer. For smaller systems we take d naught as approximated to 1 meters. So these are the theoretical approximated values to just compute the different values. So for long distance path loss model, based on the value of n, based on the environment, the value is going to change. If it is free space, the value of n is going to be 2. If it is going to be urban area, path loss is going to be more. Therefore, the n value is normally going to increase from 2.7 to 3.5. If it is shadowed region, there are many obstacles in the urban area, then the path loss will simply increase, go up to 5. Now inside building line of sight, path loss is simply going to be less, more amount of signal propagation takes place here. Obstructed in buildings. In buildings also there are so many obstacles, then the path loss is normally going to increase. So these are the various path loss exponents for the different environments under consideration. So this is what a theoretical approximations for the path loss due to the effect of diffraction. So the next one is going to be the normal, log normal shadowing kind of thing. So here the log distance model does not include the difference in the surrounding environments at 2 points with the same transmitter receiver separation. So here the difference in the surrounding environments is not taken into consideration. The distances D1 and D2 are not taken into the considerations. So here what I can have is the log normal shadowing distance D is PL of D naught plus 10 n of log of D by D naught plus x sigma. This x sigma is known as zero mean Gaussian distribution random variable with a standard deviation sigma. This is known as a Gaussian distribution value with a standard deviation of sigma. So deviation is nothing but, you know, something like tolerance. If you find out a value of resistance, then every resistor is going to have some tolerance, 10 plus or minus 10%, plus or minus 5%. Like that, tolerance is going to come with a resistance. Similarly, with respect to mean value, what is the amount of tolerance? So that is what the mean value we can just consider here, and a logarithmic scale we take here to find out the shadowing. Shadowing means what? Obstacles. If obstacles are going to be there, then shadowing effect is also going to be there. That's what we have seen in the previous figure. See in this previous figure, the very initial figure we have seen. See here, obstacle is there, shadowing effect is normally going to be there. So this receiver is under the shadowing effect because of this particular obstacle. So here, as a shadow is going to exist, then definitely the path loss is also going to exist. The path loss is also going to be more for the system. So therefore, this sigma and n are the computed from the measured data to reduce the difference between the measured and the estimated path losses. So this is what the formula which is important for us to write in the exam. So derivative part we don't have, just only explanative part. If at all it is given in the exam, you can able to just explain about this particular model, of the path loss, and how do we design about the link budget for the path loss. So this is what we are going to explain. The next last figure, the characteristic graph for the log normal shadowing method. See here, see this carefully now. As n value, as n increases, the path loss is also going to increase with respect to the distance between the transmitter and the receiver. T is nothing but transmitter, R is nothing but the receiver. So here, as the distance between the transmitter and receiver increases, then the path loss is also going to increase as the value of n is going to increase. So it is nothing but path exponent parameter. So path exponent parameter value is going to increase as the diffractions are going to increase. So this is the figure. So it is simply going on increasing value as the n value is going to increase. So this is what you have to remember to draw it in the examination to explain for explanation purpose with respect to the shadowing concept for diffraction. Then this Bessel function we don't have. Then coming to the outdoor propagation models, we have Durkin's model as a simulator which consists of two parts as we discussed earlier. First part is going to be that is going to be like it is going to access the topographical database of the area. Second part is that simulation part, simulation algorithm to get the maximum received power at different locations of the receiver. So these two we are going to have, and like this receivers we are going to change, like how we have arranged in a row column fashion, and we are converted this in matrix format. So all these are the receiver locations. The receiver locations are normally going to go on change, and we normally going to test the simulated results based on this particular simple uh, array representation, two-dimensional array representation. Okay. Now how the model Durkin's model looks like. This Durkin's model applies for this kind of situations. See this H1, H2, H3, H4 are all the four obstacles here. Now there is going to be a signal communication between the transmitter and receiver between the obstacles. Now imagine that we have an obstacle like this. We have an obstacle here, we have an obstacle here, obstacle here. So the obstacle may come either here or here. Either way it is going to be between transmitter and receiver. Now let us take up only this obstacle part here that we are going to consider. So in this case, see from transmitter, it is slowly increasing. From this is nothing but H1. From H1 to H2, some more it is increasing. H1 to H3, it is decreasing a little bit. And from here, it is once again increasing. So H4. So like this, we're going to have various diffractions, various effects of diffractions at various obstacles happening at distances D1, D2, D3, D4, and so on between transmitter and the receiver. So like this, we just going to explain about the various diffractions which are going to happen at various obstacles, which are going to happen, which are going to come across at distances D1, D2, D3, and D4. So this is what the basic Durkin's model application. So in such scenarios, we normally going to implement the Durkin's model. So how do we make the approximation? We make the approximation Durkin's model with respect to the line of sight propagation. What is line of sight propagation? If you simply think about, imagine if this is transmitter, this is receiver, there should be a line of sight propagation. That means without hindering with any other obstacles, the signal should get transmitted straight away. That is called line of sight propagation. So by considering with that, we normally going to perform the analysis at the simulator. Now another analysis we perform at simulator is by not considering the line of sight, non-line of sight case, which has been provided or discussed by Epstein and Peterson. So therefore, method is known as Epstein and Peterson method. If you observe this carefully, line of sight is crossed here in this. So many diffractions are there here. Here also line of sight is crossed totally. Many diffractions are there in between. So this is what another illustration to find out the path loss using the Durkin's model. So this is what the basic representation pictorially of the Durkin's model for the path loss in a cellular mobile communications. So thank you very much for the today's session.